Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is the companion video. What is a companion video? Well, every day on the John Campea Show in the mornings and on Open Mic in the afternoons, we take some live questions from you guys. But sometimes we don't have time to get around to all the live questions you guys send into those shows. So what I do to make sure those questions you sent in do get answered, I gather up those unused questions, I bring them over here, and we address them on these videos we call companion videos. So, with all that out of the way, let's jump right into it. And the first question we're going to get caught up in here right now is from Chris Warden, who writes, after spending the last week on vacation in SoCal, I just can't get over how many people live there. Riverside and Ontario are basically LA suburbs now, and dude, it's crazy. It is nuts. The traffic of trying to get around here is crazy. Like, I remember, I've told people before, there are sometimes like these advanced movie screenings for press that happen in at like Century City, right? And I say, oh, I'm not going to go to that. And then some people say, John, I looked it up on Google Maps. It's only like 14 miles. It's only 15 miles. Why don't you go? Because it takes an hour and a half to get there. Because the traffic in this town is so freaking stupid. Now, it depends on the time of day. I could probably get there in about 40 minutes, 45 minutes in the middle of the night. But during real time when there's any traffic, it is a nightmare. Getting around this place is crazy. And you're right, it is so sprawled out. And like Riverside and like Ontario, that's basically like an hour away. But they are just basically LA suburbs now, even though they're like a full hour away. And by a full hour, I mean regular hour driving. So like 50, 60 miles away, and they're just basically suburbs now. So it is kind of great. It is one of the nutty things living in this town. All right, next one comes to us from Oscar Fierro Cruz, who writes, who cares, I know, but are we too far to see comic book movies nominated for Best Picture? Movies like The Dark Knight, 8 nominations, and Logan couldn't make it. Yeah, absolutely. We are going to see, I have no doubt, we are going to see eventually a comic book movie get a Best Picture nomination. Now look, this last year, I thought Logan was the best picture of the year. Not just deserved to be nominated, I thought Logan was the best movie of the year. That being said, although I felt that way, the quality of the films that were nominated for Best Picture, I couldn't make solid arguments that they didn't deserve to be nominated. Like, there was really quality films this year, and Logan didn't get in, but Logan did get nominated for Best Screenplay, which I think is the first time that a comic book movie got that. That's one of the biggest Oscars there is Best Screenplay. And it got that. We're getting there. And you know what? I believe there are stinkers that come out, but I believe consistently the comic book genre seems to be getting better. And better and better. And they're being looked at more seriously. Just the fact that Logan got nominated for Best Screenplay is a testament to that. So, I really do believe that at some point in the not too distant future, provided one is good enough, like for example, I like Infinity War very, very much. I loved Infinity War. I don't think it deserves to be nominated for Best Picture, so maybe not this year. But I believe pretty soon we are going to get a film that does get nominated for Best Picture. I really do. I think it's coming. All right. Next up, Dirk Diggler writes, I need your advice. One of my in-laws don't like Thor and gives no explanation. Did I make a mistake by inviting him to my Avengers Infinity War party this Friday? He even asked me how much screen time Thor is given in the movie. Go figure. Well, you know, Dirk, we've kind of talked about this a little bit before. Number one, remember, nobody owes anybody an explanation as to why they do or do not like a movie. You either like or you don't like a movie. If you feel like explaining why or thinking about why, that's fine. But as people who are looking at art, it just hits us. We either like it or we don't. And if somebody doesn't like something we like, they don't owe us an explanation. And if somebody likes something we don't like, they also don't owe us an explanation. All they need to say is, hey, I saw it, it didn't work for me, I didn't enjoy it. That's all they need to say. They don't owe us any explanation. But again, kind of like what I said before, when it comes to in-laws especially, patience. Exercise patience. Now, was it a mistake to invite them to a different movie? Not at all. Not a mistake. Just because somebody doesn't like one Fast and the Furious movie doesn't mean they won't like others. There are Fast and Furious movies I love. There are Fast and Furious movies I don't like. So just because maybe they didn't like Thor, that doesn't mean they won't like Infinity War. Invite them and let them be the judge. Let them decide for themselves if it's something they like or not. So preach patience, exercise patience, and by all means, it was not a mistake to invite them. Not at all. Ben Rayner writes, if evil, who are you scared of more, Hulk or Superman? Yeah, that's easy, Superman. Evil Superman, the world is doomed. I mean, Superman can get from here to Tokyo in like a minute or less. Like, at least with the Hulk, you know where he is, and it's going to take him a while. If he's on his way to Europe, it's going to take him a while to get to Europe. He'll get there eventually. But Superman, it strikes me, is the type of character that has the power to just destroy the Earth. I don't think Hulk has that capability, but the one I would fear more is Superman. That's the one I would fear more. Dakota Barber writes, have you seen Equalizer 2? Really want to see it. Finally! Got around to seeing Equalizer 2. I was late to the party, and it sucks because that's been one of my really hotly anticipated movies because I love the first Equalizer. Love that movie. I think it's an underrated movie. I think what Antoine Fuqua and Denzel Washington in that movie was great. I liked Equalizer 2. I had a good time. Does not measure up to the first one, in my opinion. The action is certainly really good. They've stepped up like the choreography of the action, stuff like that. Looks really good. I wasn't as into it as I was in the first one. So I liked it. I enjoyed Equalizer 2. I just didn't think it measured up to the first one. I thought it was a step down from the first one, to be honest with you. I'd still be down for an Equalizer 3. I don't think the box office is going to justify them doing Equalizer 3, but I'd be down for it. I'd be in for it. Let's see. Dakota Barbarossa writes, also, just picked up The Proposal. Charming movie. I was talking about The Proposal the other day. Ann and I had a rare night in together. And we decided, you know what? Let's just rent a comedy. We just felt like laughing together. Let's get a comedy. So we ordered some Chinese food, snuggled it, and we got The Proposal. I forgot. I always know that's a good movie, but I've forgotten just how good it is. It's so funny and so charming. Ryan Reynolds at his comedic best. Sandra Bullock's great in it. Betty White's in it. Craig T. Nelson, Mr. Incredible, is in it. Oscar from The Office is in it, and he's hilarious in it. And I know I talked about it before the other day, but guys, if you get a chance, watch The Proposal. Settle in for it. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And the fact that one of them is supposed to be a Canadian in the U.S. obviously brings it a little bit more home for me. But still, I think you're going to love it. Watch The Proposal. So I'm glad you had a chance to check that out, Dakota. All right. At Trey Gaming writes, you said in the main show today that Movies Anywhere could go out of business. Isn't it owned by Disney? Wasn't it called Disney Movies Anywhere at one point? Yeah. But just to be clear, I wasn't saying, oh, guys, it looks like it's going out of business. That's not what I said. I just said I don't like relying on a third-party company. Sometimes we need to. When options, I'd rather not. Not to mention with Movies Anywhere, you can't get Paramount films, you can't get MGM films, you can't get Lionsgate films. I mean, so it's a little bit limited. But one of the things I said was, one of the other things is that if I start getting movies from all over the place just so I can watch them in Movies Anywhere, and then Movies Anywhere disappears, well, now I've got my movie collection scattered all over a bunch of different services. Now, people want to jump up as if I didn't know. But John, Disney owns them! Okay, do you want me to give you a list of companies and sub-businesses that Disney has shut down over the years? Obviously, Disney's not going out of business. That much is clear. However, I don't see Movies Anywhere being a big priority. And by the way, Disney's not the only owner of it. I believe there are other studios that are involved with it as well. But just because they are, I'm not afraid of the parent company going out of business. But there's, again, all of you could put together a big laundry list of sub-companies and businesses that Disney has shut down over the years. And every company does. I just don't see Movies Anywhere being a big priority to Disney. I'm not saying it's going to shut down either. Again, I just don't see, nobody has yet given me one compelling reason how Movies Anywhere gives me any advantage, true advantage, over just using one streaming system. I use Google Play. Or I could be using Amazon Prime. Or I could be using iTunes. Or I could be using this. Or I could be using that. Or whatever. Nobody's given me a valid reason why I need to have Movies Anywhere over just the one service that I use. And I know Google Play is always going to be there. And they have everything I'm going to want to watch. So I'm not really sure of the advantage. But that's just me. But that's what I meant that. I'm not saying that, Disney's about to go out of business. I'm not saying any of that. All I meant by that one statement was that it's possible Disney could just decide not to do movies anywhere anymore. If they did that, then where am I at? And again, one of the reasons I don't use movies anywhere, although it does look very interesting, I could totally see why other people would like to use it. I'm not dissing on movies anywhere at all. Not at all. Don't misinterpret me. I'm just saying for me as an individual user, I've yet to be presented with one really strong reason why movies anywhere presents me any sort of valid advantage over just using my one solid streaming system where I keep everything. But hey, that's just me. Other people feel differently, and that's perfectly fine. All right, Pablo Diablo writes, I watched Tropic Thunder again. I can't believe how much that film got away with, from Stiller's simple Jack character to Robert Downey Jr.'s blackface, and he got an Oscar nomination for it. Well, the reason it was able to get away with it was because it was poking fun at the whole scenario. It would have been different if it was a serious movie, a drama, and Robert Downey Jr. was cast to play a black character and wearing blackface. That would have been totally different. But this was a comedy making fun of that whole notion and that ideology. The whole simple Jack character, that was making fun of the way sometimes Hollywood handles those types of circumstances, situations. It was Hollywood making fun of itself. And that was the whole point. And that's why you can get something like that and you can get away with that, because obviously it wasn't serious. It was making fun of itself. So I'm not surprised they got away with it. I thought it was perfectly great. I love that movie. It's funny. No matter how much I remember it, every time I do watch it, it's funnier than what I remembered. Like everything from the opening fake trailers, booty sweat, to just the execution of himself. What do you mean, you people? What do you mean, you people? It's the timing of the movie so sharp. It's brilliant. And Tom Cruise's character in it, it's the movie. I still contend it is the movie that saved Tom Cruise's career. A lot of people have short memories and they forget exactly the status of Tom Cruise's career at that point. He was starting to be looked at a little bit of a joke, the whole jumping up and down Oprah's couch thing and all that stuff. And a lot of people, Tom Cruise was becoming a little bit of a punchline to a lot of people. And then came him playing Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder, where he just went balls to the wall with that character. Killed it. And his dance sequence during the credits is some of the funniest stuff in the movie too. But I still contend that movie saved Tom Cruise's career. I really believe that. And anyway, Tropic Thunder is just great. So I'm glad you had a chance to check that out, Pablo. All right, Jonathan Spearoff writes, would potentially casting Henry Cavill as Bond create too much of a backlash from people wanting a black or female Bond? I'd love Cavill as Bond. No, there wouldn't be any backlash. There is a segment of people, look, I am one of them. I'm one of the people who I'm totally open to the idea of an Asian James Bond, of a black James Bond. Because honestly, when you look at the character of James Bond, nothing about the character of James Bond in any way necessitates what ethnicity he should be. It really doesn't. Unlike, say, a Black Panther, king of an African nation that's been secluded from the world since the tribalism days and stuff like that, it's kind of an essential part of the character that he be black. There's nothing about James Bond in his character description that necessitates whatever ethnicity he should be. So I'm perfectly comfortable with him being a black character. If they want to make him Asian, that's fine, whatever. Or if they want to try something a little different and say the new 007 is a female agent, I'm fine with trying that. Sure, give that a shot. Why not? I mean, that's a little bit different because, the whole James Bond and his acumen with women is kind of one of the core features of James Bond. Clearly, you can't have a female James Bond. But in the James Bond world, you can say the new James Bond is retired. The new 007 is, Jessica Frey or whatever you want to say. That's fine. If you wanted to try that, give that a shot too. I don't care. But I don't think there's a lot of people that are saying the next James Bond must be black. or must be Asian, or must be female. There's not a lot of people saying that. So honestly, no, there wouldn't be any backlash from a white... James Bond has traditionally always been a white character. Therefore, I really don't think there's going to be a lot of backlash from them getting a white actor to play him again. No. Quite frankly, if the studio's worried about backlash, and they shouldn't be, they should do what they think is right for their movie, regardless of whatever the backlash is. But if they were worried about backlash, I mean, there'd be more backlash from a female James Bond. There would be more backlash from a black James Bond than there would be from casting a white James Bond. They shouldn't care about backlash. I'm just saying, if it was something they were caring about, then we would make them want to make sure to get a white James Bond. But honestly, no. I don't see there being any significant, legitimate backlash to a Henry Cavill or a Tom Hiddleston or whoever being cast to be James Bond. I really don't see there being any backlash from that at all. But that's just the way I see it. Maybe you guys see it differently. Jump down to the comments and let me know what you guys think. All right. Next one. Sarat Chandra writes, what do you think about a re-release of Unbreakable a month or two before Glass? Would it help the newcomers to the franchise? Or is it not worth the marketing cost? Oh, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. First of all, not a lot of people would run out to see Unbreakable in theaters again. Movie theaters know that, and therefore you'd have a really hard time with getting movie theaters to agree to put the movie on their screens. Because they'd be like, look, we can get more money showing Teen Titans Go than we would with that. So there's just no need for it. Plus, if the whole idea is to get people like newcomers introduced to the franchise, then rent it. You know, it's available for streaming. If you want to get if there are newcomers who are interested in getting caught up with the whole split Glass thing and they want to watch Unbreakable, they can just stay at home and click a button on their remote and watch it for, $3 instead of going to a movie theater and paying $12 for a ticket. You know what I mean? So number one, it would not, they would lose money. It would be a losing situation trying to get it distributed into the theaters, doing any kind of marketing for it, even if you could get theaters who agree to put it on their screens at that point, and it really wouldn't make anything. Plus, if the whole point is to get new audiences caught up, it's a lot easier to get new audiences at home just to click a button on their remote and watch it at home. So, yeah, I don't think, it's good out-of-the-box thinking, Sarat. It's good thinking out of the box thinking, but for this particular situation, I just don't see there being any upside to it. It would lose money, and people who want to get caught up can just do it at home instead of it being in the theater. So that's just how I see it. Maybe you guys think differently. Let me know in the comments section below. All right. Josh writes, hey, John, big fan since the movie blog. Thanks, man. That was really my big first thing was my website, the movie blog. At this point, if Gunn is rehired, time will pass, people will forgive and forget. Don't think any of this will hurt Guardians of the Galaxy 3 box office numbers. No, I don't think it would. I think were they to rehire James Gunn, there would be no problem. There would be no problem. It doesn't look like they're going to bring him back, and I'm totally cool. Look, if I was in charge of Disney, I'm bringing James Gunn back. He made some stupid, idiot, moron mouth jokes 10 years ago. Publicly. It's not like this was secret information that's just been uncovered. It was public. It was on his Twitter. 10 years ago. At some point, he went, those are stupid. Somebody writing stuff like that on Twitter is an idiot. I don't want to be an idiot. And I don't want to be a person that says stuff like that. And he didn't get caught. He just decided on his own years ago. I don't want to be that kind of person. I don't want to be the type of person that even jokingly says stuff like that. So I'm going to stop. And he did. Years ago. And he's been awesome ever since. His cast and crew and everybody loves him. So I would have kept him on. However, even though if I was in charge of Disney, I would keep him on. Hey, I get why Disney maybe feel like they won't and why they shouldn't. Okay, I get it. I don't blame Disney. The only thing I have ever blamed Disney for is their disingenuous, straight up lying to their audience about, oh, we never knew. Oh, lies. Absolute lies. Because you've got two options here. Number one, you're a company filled with incompetent morons. Or two, you're lying about not knowing about those things. We know you're not a company filled with ignorant, stupid, incompetent morons. Therefore, you're lying. You are lying. They can come out and say, oh, no, we never knew about that. Bull. It's a flat out lie. And if it's not a lie, then your entire company is a pack of incompetent morons. Which one is it? There's no third option. There's no third option here. You're either a company of incompetent morons, or two, you're lying about the fact that you didn't know. There's no third option. Pick your poison. Had Alan Horn come out and said, we were aware of past tweets because they're public. Any idiot could have found them. They're just sitting there publicly. We were aware, but we were comfortable with where James Gunn is today as a person, and we've enjoyed working with him. However, we are sensitive to the feelings of our audience, and we respect the fact that much of our audience has reacted negatively to the comments. And so we've made a decision that what is best for us and best for James is that we part company with James. Even though we were comfortable working with him, we respect the feelings of our audience, and therefore we've made the decision to part ways with James. We feel that's in the best interest of us. We feel it's in the best interest of James, blah, blah. Had Alan Horn made a statement like that, no, I had no issue with that. I would have no issue. I would disagree, but I would go, okay, I get it. I wouldn't have made the same decision you did, but I get where you're coming from. I understand what you're trying to deal with here. You made a different decision than I would have. I can respect that. No problem. And then I would just look forward to whatever Disney's doing next, and I would just look forward to whatever James Gunn is doing next. Instead, Alan Horn came out and lied, made himself look stupid, made the company look stupid, came across as completely disingenuous, and that's the problem I have. That's the problem I have. So anyway, yeah, it is what it is. We've talked enough about that, I guess. Okay, let's move on here. Next one comes to us from John Hine, who writes, no Gwendolyn Christie in episode 9 casting. Good call? Well, you can't have Gwendolyn Christie in it. I mean, spoiler for The Last Jedi, she clearly died. They didn't make it very ambiguous. She clearly died. Not only did she take a beating, but then she fell clearly into a big ball of gaping hellmouth fire. I feel, as an audience member, it was pretty clear they killed the character. It wasn't nearly as ambiguous as it was in The Force Awakens, where, well, she was on the Starkiller base planet, it destroyed, maybe we can assume she's dead. It wasn't anywhere near as ambiguous as that. All I can tell you is that as an audience member, sitting there in the theater, my immediate, clear, 100% perception was, oh, okay, Captain Phasma is now dead. Okay. And I moved on from that. So I would have found it very odd for them to have Gwendolyn Christie in this new movie. I thought that would have been very, very odd. So a good call. There was no call to make. They killed the character in episode 8. There was no call. It wasn't a call to not have her. And the character is dead. That's like saying, no Grand Moff Tarkin in episode 8. Is that a good call? Well, the Grand Moff Tarkin died, and this isn't a prequel. So that's how, anyway, that's just how I kind of viewed it, John. Maybe you saw it a little bit differently. Maybe you felt Phasma's death in the movie was a little ambiguous, and you thought maybe there was a chance she could show up. I respect that. All I can say is that my perception as an audience member was completely different. To me, it was very clear she was dead, so I was not expecting in any way that Gwendolyn Christie would be in episode 9. By the way, I've got an announcement coming up in the next few days about Star Wars Talk Tuesdays, but I'll talk about that later. Anyway, Snake Jerusalem writes, I finally binge-watched Sons of Anarchy. Good for you, Snake. That show is definitely Hamlet on Harleys. I love that description. It really is. Sons of Anarchy really is Hamlet on Harleys. I love Sons of Anarchy. It is in my top 3 all-time favorite shows. My number 1 all-time favorite show is Moore's Battlestar Galactica. And then fighting out for the 2nd and 3rd position in no particular order is Spartacus and Sons of Anarchy. Love that show, man. Love, love, love Sons of Anarchy. Broke my heart when that show ended. I'm looking forward to Mayans to see how well that show turns out. We'll see. I mean, I have no expectations going into Mayans. I'm just looking forward to see because it's the same showrunner coming back. So we'll see. But yeah, man, I love Sons of Anarchy. I love that you had a chance to get caught up on it. Lee Brockway writes, did you see Teen Titans Go? I was really impressed. You know what? A lot of people are impressed with it. I did not see it. And I'll be honest with you, I have no plans on seeing it. I thought the trailers looked horrendous. It does not appeal to me. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad movie because I can't. I've never seen it. All I can say is that nothing about it has appealed to me. So therefore, I'm not planning on wasting 2 hours of my time to go to a theater to watch it. Who knows? Maybe one of these days I'll have a free couple hours in the afternoon and I'll go, I'll use my A-list and go over and watch it. But I haven't seen it. But hey, to be fair, it's gotten, the critics seem to quite like it. The audience of people I know who have seen it have enjoyed it. So hey, there's that. All I can say is that it hasn't appealed to me. So I really don't have any interest in going to see it. Lee Brockway writes, sorry, that was Lee Brockway. Devontae Brown writes, Movie Pass first step should have been $14.99, too late. Okay, so here's the thing, and this is kind of like the underlying thing of all of this. If you're a company, start in a position where you can add benefits as your service progresses. Don't start in an unsustainable place where you're just going to be taking things away from your customers. And that, Devontae, as you're pointing out, was really maybe the ultimate fundamental flaw in Movie Pass to start. They started from a position of, we'll never be able to sustain this. That's how they started. They started from a position where everybody in the industry told them, your business is unsustainable. And a very defiant Movie Pass said, no, 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 this is perfectly sustainable. We can operate our business like this, ongoing for the foreseeable future. And everybody else in the world was like, no, you can't. And they're like, yes, we can. We can. And they made it with $10 a month. You can see movies twice. No limitations on which movies. You just, couldn't see it in prime movie theaters like IMAX, 3D, stuff like that. And we all understood that. That was fine. The problem was they started their business in a place where it was inevitable they would just have to start taking things away from their customers, as opposed to, as their business progressed, giving new things to their customers. So, it started with, oh, well, we're going to have to take, we know we gave you back being able to see a movie multiple times. We got to take that away. And then they took away certain movies, couldn't see opening weekend. Now increasing the price. Now saying you can't see a new release movie for its first 2 weeks. Now this, like all these new restrictions that were not there in the beginning. An honest, upfront, smart company starts from a position where hopefully if we can succeed, we will be in a position where we can give new features to our audience. Not, hey, we're starting from a completely unsustainable point, and as we go, we're going to trick a bunch of people to sign on, and then we're just going to start taking things away from them that we had promised them. So you're right, Devontae. Had Movie Pass started with $20 a month and said, hey, be clear, you can only see each movie once. We don't offer Prime theaters. We don't offer online ticketing, blah, blah, but it's $20 a month. Start with the restriction that you can only see every movie once and blah, blah. Then maybe as they progress, and you know what? We're making money. Guys, we're reducing our price to $15 a month. Then you're giving things to the audience as you progress. Instead, they started from a completely unrealistic, unsustainable place to trick people to sign up. Then once they got them signing up, start taking away those things you promised them. And that's what they did. And it's unfortunate. And you're absolutely right, Devon. They should have started with $14.99. They should have started with $20. Should have started at $20 a month with a bunch of limitations. And then, and it still would have been a good deal. Still would have been a very good deal. And as people start signing up more and more, instead of taking things away, you would have been able to give them new features. But anyway, they didn't, and that's why we're in the position that we're in today. Luna Comics writes, My only problem with Venom is that I can barely understand him. You know, it's funny, Luna, and I mentioned this on my show the other day. I've heard a few people mention that. Now, and I said this before, but since you're bringing it up, I'm one of those guys that I had a very difficult time understanding Tom Hardy as Bane. Yes, Mr. Wayne. Tea will be served at 4 o'clock. Like, I had a very hard time understanding Tom Hardy as Bane. I did, admittedly. As somebody who had a hard time understanding Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, I gotta say, I had no problem. I watched the trailer first time through. Never even dawned on me that anybody would have had a hard time understanding him. I understand everything he said, both as Venom and as Eddie Brock. I understand everything he said. It didn't even dawn on me that anybody would have a problem. So I got to admit, I was a little bit surprised to hear a couple people, not a ton of people, but a couple of people, say that they struggled a little bit understanding what Tom Hardy was saying, either as Eddie Brock or as Venom. I just got to say, I personally had no issue. But that's just me. Just because I had no issue with it doesn't mean other people. There are a lot of people who didn't have any issues understanding Tom Hardy as Bane, and yet I did. But a lot of other people had no problem understanding him. Well, okay. It's just, things hit our ears in different ways. I had no problem understanding him in Venom, but some people do. Okay, that's just the way it is. But so I'm sure you're not the only one, Luna. All I can say is that as an audience member, I didn't have that experience. So there you go. All right. Shattergate Studios writes, if the Fox deal goes through, which it probably will, could we see the classic Disney intro in front of Deadpool? Well, as far as Deadpool, the movie, no, you won't see the Disney because that's done. It's already done. It was produced by a company. That company's logo's in front of it. Probably not. If they ever put out like a special edition sometime in the future, maybe they do that. But even then, I don't think Disney puts their traditional opening, like the and seeing they don't put that in front of every movie that's loosely connected with Disney. Like, I don't think there was the classic Disney intro in front of Infinity War per se, right? So on that level, I don't think we'll see it in front of a Deadpool. But hey, still lots of question marks in place. We're still a year away from this all finally having all the dust settling and seeing where everything really goes. So we'll have to wait and see. So maybe, the answer really is maybe. I just don't think so, but it's definitely a maybe. JCL Productions writes, actor Isaac Cappy did a live stream a day or so ago accusing Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg of being Hollywood pedophiles. Do you think he's lying? Well, this was brought up on another show, but I'll address it again. My biggest problem with Isaac Cappy's statement comes from the fact that one of the things, by the way, I will admit, I had never even heard of this guy before this happened. But just because I haven't heard of him doesn't mean it's not true. But here was the biggest problem I had. He made this statement. He said, Spielberg and Tom Hanks are known Hollywood pedophiles. Like, everybody in the street knows that they're pedophiles, right? This is where I take real issue with what he said. Because, like, in our industry, like, the Harvey Weinstein thing, honestly, it didn't catch anybody by surprise. The Harvey Weinstein stuff, that caught nobody by surprise. Because I've heard people in this industry say for a long time, Harvey Weinstein's a jerk. I've heard lots, and I don't know Harvey Weinstein personally, but that's all I've heard from people in the industry. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein's a bit of an ass. He's a bit of a jerk. And you hear whispers about things and maybe this happened and maybe that happened. But I mean, I never heard the more serious stuff, but still, everybody in the industry knew he was shady. Okay, there's that. Stuff with, what was the, why am I forgetting the name of the dude who directed Rush Hour? Now I got to look it up. Now I feel stupid. Rush Hour director. Brett Ratner. Okay, so when the accusations came out about Brett Ratner, well, everybody knows Brett. I mean, honestly, I had never heard any specific allegations against him, but his reputation of being a guy who likes the lady. Well, every man likes ladies. I mean, every heterosexual man out there likes ladies. So there's that. But, to the extent of it, I never heard any specific allegations. But I got to admit, then when I heard the allegations about Ratner, I wasn't tremendously surprised. When this guy came out and said Spielberg and Hanks are known Hollywood pedophiles, that's the point where I went, well, see, now that smells like complete bullshit. Because unlike a Brett Ratner situation, unlike a Harvey Weinstein situation, all that kind of stuff, I can just tell you that's not true. What this dude said is simply factually untrue. I know a lot of people in this industry, and all without exception, I have never heard anybody. Now, granted, take what I say with a grain of salt because I am a known fan of both Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. So take what I say with a grain of salt because I am a known fan. I don't know Steven Spielberg, I don't know Tom Hanks, but everybody knows I'm a fan of their work. Fair enough, so take what I say with a grain of salt. It's fair for you to do that. But I can tell you, out of the hundreds of people I know in this industry and that I've talked to, and Spielberg has always come up, and Tom Hanks has always come up, and blah, 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 I have never heard anything but the most glowing stuff about them as individuals. Can't say that about Harvey Weinstein even before the accusations, or about Brett Ratner before the accusation, or whatever. But with a Spielberg and a Hanks, to say that they are known Hollywood pedophiles, stuff like that, everybody in the industry knows it. I'm sorry, that part is factually untrue. Factually untrue. Because everybody I have spoken to in this business, from studio executives to actors and directors, never anything but the most absolute, heartfelt, glowing stuff to say about Tom Hanks and about Steven Spielberg. Now, that does not by definition mean that there can't be any truth to what this guy was saying. Look, everybody's got skeletons in their closets. You do, I do, I'm sure Spielberg and Hanks do too. So I'm not going to stand here and say it is 100% fact of the universe that everything this guy I'd never heard of before said is factually untrue. I can't say that because who knows? Unfortunately, who knows? But what I can say is factually untrue is a statement that he made that it is known in Hollywood that Spielberg and Hanks are known to be pedophiles. That's simply not true. That I can tell you. As somebody who at least has one kind of half of a foot in this world, I can tell you that was absolutely untrue, that part. Whether there's no truth to anything the guy was saying, I can't say that. I simply can't say that. But the statement that they are known in the industry to be this and this, that part's not true. That's just factually untrue. Okay. Dakota Barber writes, have you checked out Equalizer 2? Oh, funny you should ask that. We kind of already went over that. Dakota Barber also writes, and this is the final question of the day. I got Infinity War on digital today. Still my top MCU movie. Still feels a little crowded, but other than that, a great film with powerhouse villain and ending. I love this movie. Again, Infinity War is not in my personal top 3 Marvel films, but I love it. I think it's great. In the world of, is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down movie? It's definitely a thumbs up. And you're right, powerhouse villain. Probably the best villain the MCU's ever given us. Great ending. Fabulous ending. Still, the issues of how overcrowded the movie was and how it kind of felt like it was bursting at the seams a bit and had a few too many things going on at once, I think it did affect the narrative flow of the movie, to be honest with you. So I love it. I saw it multiple times in theaters. I will watch it multiple times at home. But I still think there are at least 3 MCU movies that I preferred. But hey, whatever. They've made great movies all around. It's a wonderful film. I'm going to watch it many, 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 many times. The good of the film clearly hugely outweighs the bad. But yeah, I wouldn't say for me it's a top 3 one. Not for me. But hey, I'm sure you're not alone. Like for you, it's the best MCU movie to you. I'm sure you're not alone in that. I'm sure many people feel that way. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment or at least this installment of the companion video. Thanks so much for being here. Listen, guys, don't forget, do me a favor, click the thumbs up button. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing, actually, to the channel and for helping out the individual videos as well. Leave a comment below. There's a lot of big questions that came up here today. What do you think about any of them? Jump down to the comment section and leave your thoughts below. All right, guys, that will do it for me for this install of the companion video. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.